Black don't crack. Is that always true? And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I'm seeing people say all of that all the time in the comments, especially on social media. And don't get me wrong, Black skin is a thing of beauty, the richness, the glow. I mean, gosh, when we are like in the sun, oh my gosh, and that skin is popping, it looks so good. But something I have noticed, and especially on social media in the comments, I'm always seeing people when they see, say, an older celebrity. It could be someone over 45, it could be 50, 60, especially when they're between their 60s and their 70s. I see people in the comments saying, "You never age. Black don't crack. You are a vampire." And it seems the more and more I see this, it seems the more and more people are trying to hold back aging, that something is wrong with it, that really the best way is to stay young forever. Now, you might argue with me and say, okay, Cassandra, what people are saying is that, again, it is a source of pride, that darker skin, blacker skin, it is something that is a badge, that it is something to just be revered and honored. But what happens when you do see people who are getting older, people who are aging? Does that not mean that they're not as beautiful? That something is wrong? That something, why weren't they able to stay the same? And this is something I noticed for myself. Probably even as little as 5 years ago, people would say to me, "Oh my gosh, you look years younger. You don't look your age." Or they would say, especially 10, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's how old you are?" But I noticed lately, fewer people are saying that. In fact, as I turned 60, I'm getting a lot more ma'ams than I used to. Like, "Yes, ma'am, can I help you with this?" "Yes, ma'am, 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 ma'am." And I'm dealing with it. But what it also showed me is that I'm not looking as young as I used to. And sometimes that's a little challenging, especially when you realize that people really value youth in this culture. And you start having to say, "Oh, what's happening?" And the thing about it, as much as I did love people saying you don't look their age, I had to also tell some people it's okay. You don't need to say that anymore, because I can't stay the same. I can't stay the same all the time. And I was thinking about this, especially with my grandmother, because my grandmother, she lived to be close to 100 years old. And when I was young, when I was around 10 years old, I think she was probably in her 60s. Now, when I was 10 years old, and probably when she was this age, I thought she was really old, because when you're young, who doesn't think someone who's over 30 isn't old? But now when I look at these pictures, I say, "Oh my gosh, she looked so beautiful." And I also think about the people who were in her age group at the time. They didn't go around saying such and such, "Ooh, looking at her skin, ooh, you don't look your age." And once in a while I'd hear people, especially got older. But I remember those older women, they were just living life. They were having friends. They were having a lot of community. They were enjoying themselves. They didn't seem to be obsessed or thinking about their age. It was like, this is the way it is. And they were just enjoying. They were enjoying life with what life brought to them at this stage. And what I've noticed is, it seems that we're focused more on our age and how we look, and less than the community and the kinship that we had with other people at this time than they did. Yeah, it's like we're focusing less on surrounding ourselves with people that we love and more on how we look. And I've looked at it and I've been thinking about how other cultures handle this. And I recall when I used to look at pictures, especially of other cultures, Native American women, European women, some European women, and some African women. And some of these women had deep lines in their faces, and the faces had sagged, but there was still they looked gorgeous. Even with the lines made them look even more beautiful. And in some of these cultures, these older women were revered. People looked at them for their wisdom, and they had leadership in them, and they shared their experience with their communities, with their tribes, things like this. Now, what if they had looked perfect and flawless? And does that mean that they were of less value if they had these wrinkles? If they worked flawless, then would that be great? But their wrinkles, sort of like a tree. When you see an older tree, do we want an older tree not to look magnificent as it grows older? No, we see more magnificence in its age. So I want you to ask yourself, what would you rather be? Would you rather be older on the outside or like older on the inside? And the reason why I say that is because, and maybe you would say, well, I don't want any of it. But a lot of times there are a lot of people walking around and they look amazing on the outside. But that internal health, we got to have a talk about that. We have to have a talk about what's going on the inside. Are those the questions that we should ask? Because we all know there can be stress, there can be inflammation, and that inflammation that we have on the inside, it can accelerate your biological age. And there are times when people take tests and their biological age looks a lot older than their chronological age because of what's happening on the inside. And because of your biological age looks so much older, it can contribute to a lower lifespan. And isn't a life well lived in how you live? Maybe that's more important than looking flawless and trying to preserve yourself. Don't get me wrong again. I am not saying anything is wrong with taking care of your skin. I'm not even saying anything is wrong with plastic surgery. I'm not saying anything is wrong with injectables. I'm just saying that this public scrutiny of making sure that we look perfect, it means people can't evolve. Don't we always want to change? Don't we always want to evolve? And if people are always judging us and picking us apart, then we don't get to evolve. People don't get to come along with us on the journey because they want us to stay the same at a certain point. So what I always want to do is say, I always want you to feel your best. I want you to feel like you look your best, but I also want you to feel like you feel your best on the inside. And that's the most important thing. So no matter what decision you make, let's just want to make sure that whatever standards of beauty someone upholds for someone else, their standards of beauty, that we have our own, for our own standard of beauty, for our own life. So now I ask you, how do you want to age? Do you like the idea? Do you want it to always be that your skin always is wrinkle free and that it doesn't age? Do you want that to be the norm for you? What do you want it to look like? And let me know. And just let's keep talking about these type of things. I'm Cassandra. I am a holistic health coach, and I just look forward to just living a good, healthy, good, ageless, wonderful life. Bye-bye.